We are back with match number 4. Round number 4. That's too much Grandmasters for you, that. Round number 4 of the day here at Masters Tour Bucharest, and we have plenty more Hearthstone to come up for you guys as well. I'm Raven, and joining me is Lorinda, sticking on the desk after being with Sottle. I apologise for that.
I'm sorry, don't leave me with him again. It scares me. I was trying to fight back, but I failed.
I'll do my best. But how's today been going for you while the players are just getting ready to just sitting down now and get into this match? But how's it been going for you so far today?
Yeah, it's been going good, man. I really like this part of the tournament where between about rounds 3 and 7 where you start to see who's going to do it this time, who's coming out of the pack, what's this tournament about. The first 1 or 2 rounds sort of just set the scenes. You don't know who it's going to be. We're now getting, we know Hunter Ace is 3-0. I think Saiyans 3-0 as well.
I think
Muzzy's 3-0.
Muzzy's 3-0. I'm not sure on Saiyan. When I last checked, I think his match wasn't finished, so I'm not 100%. But there's a lot of players that are just up there now at 3-0, looking pretty good. I think, as we like to see, a mixture of well-known faces as well as some new players we've not seen too much from.
Yeah, and I enjoy also because a lot of the players. Obviously, I keep an eye on the qualifiers and who's getting through and who's not, but a lot of them I've heard the names, but I don't get to put a face to them. And some of these earlier rounds, I get to put a face to the name, which is always good fun. And just see if these people who are performing well in the qualifiers can actually do it when they're sat in those chairs.
Right.
Because it's a very different game over there.
Yeah, and you're getting a glance at who we are going to be casting next. It is going to be NaySyl, or Nay, as I'm going to refer to her for the rest of the match. And she is one of the LATAM casters for most Blizzard stuff. So whether that be HCT in the past or Grandmasters, she's cast tons of stuff. And also their opponent there, Oxyd, I believe. To me, that's just a massive collection of letters on his name, or at least on the stuff I've got. But Lorinda's confidently told me it's Oxyd, so if it's wrong, I'm shifting blame this way.
Yep, I did say that. I'm so confident
I'm going with
right now. Nay has qualified for all 3 events through the qualifiers.
Right.
No buys, no help, no you're a GM so you get an extra one.
Yep.
She's gone through all 3 qualifiers to get to these. That must really help with experience.
Oh, it does, yeah. I think just at the end of the day, no matter how naturally gifted you are, you can always see when players have just played a lot because they've had themselves in a lot of situations, so they know the general sort of the outcomes of what is going to happen. We can check out the list now, and we have the Quest Shaman for Oxyd along with this Paladin, which I am surprised it's had as much representation as it has. And then for Nay, we have the Priest once again that we cast a little bit earlier on, of that sort of Resurrect Priest, along with Control Warrior, with the N'Zoth, and the Holy Wrath Paladin. So very slow, sort of steady matchups there, or steady decks at least. I will say, I like the N'Zoth version of the Warrior, because at least there's a way to kill your opponent.
Oh, but where's the fun in that?
The fun in that went away from casting multiple Warrior Mirrors during GM Season 1, Lorinda. So, yeah, the fun went a long time ago. That is long gone. Control Warrior is now dead to me. Unless it's got N'Zoth in it, in which it's okay.
Which it has.
Yep.
Good old-fashioned hearty Hearthstone decks coming up.
Yeah, and the big one for me, I mentioned a little bit earlier in the day that I'm excited. What I always like about these big Swiss tournaments, same with playoffs as well back in the day, is when you start to see win rates of archetypes and how they've actually, worked during the tournament. And this Highlander Secret Paladin, I am very interested. I've not seen the stats yet because it's still a little bit early, but based on how many people have brought it, I think we're going to end up with a good sample size, and it looks bad to me.
I'm not a fan, and Sottle likes it, which makes it even more on the line
scary,
for both of us. Right?
Yeah, that's scary.
If he's right and we're wrong, we won't hear the end of it.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm actually used to that more than anything.
No, don't let him. You can break it. You can break.
But for me, the deck just seems like most Highlander slightly aggressive decks of, well, if it curves, fantastic. If it doesn't, do you just lose versus every other deck in the game right now? It's so weird.
And the Paladin one seems an extreme case of that.
Right.
Yeah, you see it with the Hunter to some degree, but they can still play some nice on-curve stuff, and it kind of looks like a Hearthstone deck. But the Paladin thing...
Yeah, and I will say as well, for me, I'm kind of in the same boat that Sottle talked about, I think in the last series or the one before, I'm not sure, where he was saying that because he didn't think it was going to be a big deck and it was that good initially, he's not sit and practiced it. I've been playing tons of Mali Druid, I've been playing tons of the different Shaman variants, I've played enough Priest and cast plenty of Priest to get an idea about combo and some of the other matchups as well. But the Paladins just caught me off guard. When I saw all the submissions and that so many people have brought Paladin, and we've already cast a fair few matches of it, I was like, wow, this is way more popular than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I saw a few people playing it on streams, and I was like, I mean, some had success with it. Bunny Hopper did very well with the deck on stream, but I was never convinced by anybody at any point. I mean, Bunny Hopper can get top 50 with whatever 30 cards you give him.
Right.
So that's irrelevant. But watching good players struggle with a deck convinced me no one would bring it here. Like you say, it's in every round.
Yeah.
In every match we've cast almost.
I thought people were streaming it out of boredom. I thought they were like, oh, this is kind of a new thing people are playing today. I'll stream it. I didn't realize people were like considering it for tournament play. It's crazy.
I know what happens to, I mean, board control in particular. You'll go to HS Replay and see this new deck has a 57% win rate. And Sottle started this story, but there's another layer to it. So Sottle go and see it's the top deck.
Right.
And be like, I don't believe it. But then it's board's job to go, well, I don't believe it, but I've got to actually test to see if my belief is right or wrong. And he played 5 games of it and lost on 4 turns in all 5 of them. And just dustbinned it. It was just like, I don't need this deck.
Sounds like when I try any deck on ladder. I will say, though, talking about Oxyd's lineup, his Druid, I've harped on a lot about Malygos Druid in Grandmasters and even today so far. He is bringing the Malygos Druid, and it is the build I like, where it doesn't have the Emperor Thaurissan, which I think everyone kind of automatically jumped the gun and thought, Malygos, Emperor Thaurissan, that's great. But it still just runs Dream Petto. Florist, it runs Geppetto as well. I think I just merged those 2 cards when I said that, which is fantastic. I was close. But the biggest thing here is by running the Geppetto along with Florist, it allows you to do broken things in many different ways. So you can do, if needed, the sort of rotations of just gaining tons of armor, or you can end up doing like weird things with actually winning with 9 mana Malygos, and I've done it before where I Geppetto'd into Kun, so I went Malygos into 1 mana Kun, into Malygos, into Moonfire. Like there are so many different ways you can piece together enough damage to win the game. It's very difficult to try and keep a handle on when you're the opponent, right? Outside of try and get more health or kill them quicker, you could die in like 20 different ways.
It's hard enough to keep a handle on when you can see the hand, let alone when all the cards are imaginary and like ghosts under the bed and stuff you're not quite sure what they're going to do to. Yeah, it gets to the point where you're in a real world of having to guess and hope. Yeah. Which is not where you want to be unless you're me.
No, honestly, like the deck, I hope it does well, or we'll see how it plans out anyway. But even looking at the others, there's just the Quest Shaman from Oxyd, which again is my preferred style. I know Derek and I know Sol really think the token one's the best, so it's not too often that they agree with me anyway, so I'm used to it.
It's a straight meta guess for me that the difference between those 2 decks is where do you think you're going to be? Do you need the value or can you just kill them?
Yeah. The stick out for me in this matchup, and I think that the 2 decks for these players is going to be about the Paladin for Oxyd, and then it's going to be about the Priest for Nay, because this Priest, again, I'm still so unsure of.
She's got a plan. It's make it go on a long time.
Yeah, we might be here for a while, which is fine. The players are just getting ready now. I think they are actually just sorting bans and making sure everything's good to go. So apologies for having a slight delay as we get into this match, but we should be ready very, very soon. The Hakar does speed it up, though, in the Priest.
Yeah, it does. I don't know. The Hakar is actually something that I know you need, but it's no... I'd rather be slower. Just take out win conditions from decks and beat people with...
You would rather the deck be horrible to play and horrible to cast.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who puts me with this guy on the desk.
But we talked about this a little bit earlier. The Priest it's got options early. If it gets to the late game, it's pretty much unstoppable.
It is, yeah. Outside of, as an example, Mali Druid, which can just burst it with. It doesn't care if you've got loads of taunts, because the taunts aren't normally very aggressive in terms of their attack. So it means that, yeah, okay, you've got loads of these 2 and 3 attack minions. I've got tons of armor. Moonfighters.
And that's the point you made earlier. Yeah. You were saying that the combo deck is kind of the only real major weak spot. It's got other weak spots, obviously, like every deck has. And walks into a Druid combo deck, effectively.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is where the bans and everything's going to come into it. I didn't even catch the bans before, if I'm completely honest, but we'll find out very quickly as the game starts, regardless. But overall, just looking at even at the rest of NaySyl list, the Warrior is the N'Zoth Warrior with the double Kartuk Defenders, Sylvanas as well. Nothing too crazy there, but again, just so anti-aggro. It's insane.
Yeah, I think if you one of the reasons that those decks are better in tournaments than on ladder is you can really say, okay, I'm going anti-aggro and I'm going to weight my decks accordingly. You haven't got to build a balanced. I haven't looked at the list. You're list man at the moment, but you can weight your decks. Thank you.
You can also be this superhero known as lists man, or are you stats guy?
I don't know. I'm just person who's here.
You can be the stats guy sidekick.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing outrageous in there, but there's so much early game in that warrior, in most of the builds, and again, in this one. You can go to a tournament and say, okay, I just don't need much of the late game clutter, I'm just going to target X or Y, but...
And I think for me, really, at least Nay's lineup is very much just a meta-read lineup, right? Yeah. It's going... I think... excuse me. I think there's going to be a lot of players bringing aggro into this, and we see the warrior banned out, not complaining, and the druid, no! You see the strength of that druid getting it banned out there, which means Oxyd is going to have shaman, priest, paladin versus priest, shaman, paladin. So although close to a mirror match, there is a couple of differences.
Yeah, I mean, you said that like you were joking, but actually it's done its job. If you get to play shaman and priest, then your other deck has done its work, very much so.
Yeah, and looking at the priest here, I'm just going to double check Oxyd's. Yeah, it is combo priest. I was pretty certain it was. So there are differences in just terms of combo priest, Highlander secret paladin versus, I believe it's Holy Wrath paladin for Nay, right? Yeah, Holy Wrath paladin and the slower sort of resurrect priest is huge, right? It's like the same classes but completely different lineups.
Yeah, and I wonder if Oxyd didn't see that ban coming. I'm just trying to work out if he'd have done anything differently. Probably not, actually.
I think that ban happens 100% of the time, right?
So, but when that's banned, the priest becomes a lot better. I think the warrior is just still better than the priest. The priest is like warrior 2, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the idea is Malygos Druid is one of the decks that just dumps his warrior pretty hard. It's slightly different versus in the Zoth list, of course, because they're not as slow.
But if you're banning, if you know it's getting banned, oh yeah, so you've got to ban the warrior.
But that's the point, yeah. If you know your druid's going to be banned out, then you ban warrior because the warrior's better against all your other aggro decks. So I do understand it, and I think he was always expecting that druid ban because the druid is the one that can just slip through the cracks a little bit and just get a win versus, honestly, most of Nay's lineup. So it's kind of just getting rid of that, I would say, like guaranteed win and just saying, well, you know, all the other decks have to perform.
And I can't give you the exact numbers because things happened during the last cast, but I know that Oxyd is very regular in these qualifiers, and the point of that I'm trying to make is he's very used to building a lineup, and so he's built what looks like a steady lineup here with a plan.
Right.
Getting his good decks open up by getting the druid banned is definitely a plan you can go with.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And this isn't the format they've been playing in the qualifiers. They've been playing best of threes. So someone who's used to just having to put their minds to building different lineups and messing around can put plans together. It works a lot in these sort of tournaments.
I think a lot of it is just as well-practiced group. We saw, you know, we talked about, if you've been watching Grandmasters, we talked about a lot of just, you know, everyone going to Fino's house, basically, as one massive practice group to prep for Bucharest, and obviously playoffs, which was last weekend as well. But I know a lot of these other players do have pretty wide and varied practice groups that definitely helps them with these lineups. And often when you come to Swiss tournaments, playoffs in the past, and so on, it's very much how did the group perform is the way you look at it, because any one player might do badly, but if, say, 5 players bring more or less the same lineup that they've decided on, 2 players do like bad to okay or not good, and 3 players do well, say they make top 16 or even depending on the size top 32, then that's a success for the group. Because although, yes, there hasn't been many lineups in the past that like everyone who brought it just won, it means that the lineup overall, if it just did averagely pretty good or ended very strong, it means that the group worked overall. And I believe that is a preview of the first game we're going to get into. It's going to be Priest versus Shaman. Again, apologies about the slight delay. I think we had just a couple of hiccups setting up the match. So I believe we are getting closer though.
I didn't realise there'd been a delay. I was happily talking away. Like I do.
That's just because I'm a delight to talk to.
It is, Raven, yeah.
I noticed the delay.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
I think that what you say about practice groups is very important. A lot of the players in the qualifiers are kind of all in the same boat together. They play against each other all the time, and when that happens, you've seen with the likes of Muzzy and Hunter A6 at the top level, you end up becoming practice partners with people you're constantly seeing. So these practice groups are wider, and the second you know who's qualified from your group, the groups change because there's overlap in all the groups, tightens up. And then, like you say, it's a case of who which group nails it, really. It used to be country-based a lot of the time, especially like DreamHacks and things like that.
Yeah, now it's definitely a lot wider. We can take a deeper look now at Nay's Res Priest, and as you can see, it is very much don't die till turn 5 or 6, and then start the recovery plan with Kartuk Defender, Convincing Infiltrator, and then you move on into just rezzing these minions over and over and over again. And Hakar is really in there to just break open the control matchups, because the idea being that there's no way to really get rid of Hakar, but because you heal for so much, because you'll just mass summoning Kartuk Defenders basically, it means that you will often, unless you play an exact mirror, be able to out heal the damage from the Bloods.
Yeah, worth noticing there, something we did bring up earlier in the day, but Nay has only gone with one light bomb.
Yeah.
We were talking about, I mean, there were 2 in the deck
It's the
earlier,
first cuttable card.
but it's one of the very cuttable cards in the deck. It's weird to people who played Hearthstone a long time that light bomb's not the first card in your priest deck if it's available. But the game has changed, that so many minions just don't die to it now. Yeah,
and as we're looking at this Quest Shaman from Oxyd, it really just sticks out. It's a very steady list, just has a full, like pretty much a full 2-off of everything apart from the Legendaries, of course. And the key card's very important there, because it's something I talked a lot about during Grandmasters, is that for me, the deck's very strong. It's changed slightly because of Evolve and the Hairs, of course, having those extra power plays. But outside of that, winning the game, just of how strong that single turn is, Barista is really the card that like makes the deck work and makes the deck as powerful as it is, because it makes you able to change plans and reinforce plans. You can Barista damage, i.e., Kobold lackeys for the tons of just double Barista, Hero Power Barista into multiple lackeys. Life Drinkers to do kind of the same thing with a bit more survivability, but then also some of the late game stuff, right? Just even more value lackeys of Ethereals or your big token generators. Like, Barista really just goes nuts and makes the deck pretty strong.
I mean, you know what I was saying about how good Shaman was even a few months ago?
We're in game. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's always just been a hair away from being the best deck in the game.
Yeah, it's very, very, very close. I get it. Here we go now. Finally in the match. We apologize once again about the delay, but we have Nay on the top on the Resurrect Priest versus Oxyd on the bottom on the Quest Shaman, and that is a pretty cheeky opening. Not the aggressive opening from the Quest Shaman, but having double Evil Totem and Hair there means that some of the most powerful cards are available here for Oxyd.
I think if you have lost repeatedly to Shaman on ladder like everybody has, if you're not careful, it's easy to get into the mindset that your opponent just kills you on turn 3 every game. But actually, these sort of hands are pretty terrifying. Yeah,
they really are.
They just shamble along, and then suddenly on turn 6 you're dead because there's too much stuff, not necessarily because you're being slammed in the face too hard.
Yeah, and one thing that's a little bit awkward now, at least what we can see because of this double Evil Totem, is that the second Oxyd gets some Ethereal lackeys, you chuck 1 Hex into the res pool against Res Priest, and then things are looking pretty nice.
Yeah.
So really, I'm pretty sure Oxyd will just really want to get those Ethereal lackeys. Missed them so far. A little bit unfortunate. And we see not even quest activated yet, because there aren't any Battlecry minions that he's planning to actually play. So there's no reason to kind of float mana and then waste a turn doing any of that when you can just generate more lackeys to continue to power it on next turn. And we see Nay pass. Not too much of an uncommon turn with this Res Priest. If you're not really very active, it's very reactive early game, and obviously having Hakar, a death that isn't available, Psychopomp that does nothing in cloning, means there's nothing to play anyway.
I have one issue with this strategy that Nay is bringing, and I have the same issue when Yala does it as well. You're playing a lot of Hearthstone over the course of 2 days. If you've got to grind out to the end of, you're the last one playing in every round of the Swiss, it's so tiring.
Yeah, you have factually less downtime than everyone else.
Yeah.
And also, I believe one of the series, I think, one of the control players, it might have been Nay, was like over 2 hours long for one series, which was kind of insane.
Yeah, there was one event where the filler game was always the last game standing. The game we're finishing off while we're waiting for the next round to start, and Yala was featured in nearly every single round.
Yeah, I'd never do this, personally. I'd never bring a control lineup. I know I wouldn't be able to pull it off. But we'll see how it goes so far. Both players 2-1, as you can see next to their names, of course. And that's their score in the Swiss so far. We are on round 4 on our first broadcasted match.
Yeah, getting into the meat of it all now. A lot of the big name players doing very well at this event. And we are going to keep Orange Watch as a thing, I think, for the entire tournament. And still 3-0.
Well, I think you're going to come down here, just one extra proc on the quest, and obviously just not many other options for Oxyd to really go off on it. There was a chance that he considered playing the Mutate on the Life Drinker just to get a 5-drop down and start piling on that pressure. But I think with Hair as an emergency and also the ever-looming, Mogu that's just available for that Mutate target is actually pretty huge. So I don't mind him holding on to it.
This deck sometimes, the priest deck sometimes just feels like there's no removal in it, even though the whole deck is removal cards. Sometimes it just doesn't look like it has the right matchup.
Yes and no. I think a small portion of the deck is removal, and the rest of the deck functions as removal because they're all taunt minions.
Sure.
So like, there's only normally like Penance and the Shadow Words that really do anything in the early game. But the idea is that post turn 5, roughly, you're so strong and defensive that you can take a hit unless that hit doesn't put you to 0.
Yeah.
And already, this is the problem, and this is the small window that you have against this priest. And honestly, I think I'd like to see an evolve.
Yeah, just got to work
at least
out.
A mutate.
There's only one light bomb. You've got to work out. But I think most evolved minions are light bomb proof. Light bomb proof.
I'm not going to go out there as a 100% fact, but I think the average minion doesn't have as high attack as its health.
Not anymore.
So,
it used to, but I think part of the philosophy about 2 years ago changed in terms of slowing the game down a bit, because it used to just be, can I kill you with my hunter cards really quickly?
Yeah. My favourite game.
Yeah, exactly. I think they started to try and keep minions on the board to make the game more intricate and more to think about. If a minion lives for 2 turns, it's just more interesting.
Right.
And I think that is a case that most minions now do have more health because of that. And some significantly, so get 2 6s and things. They just weren't proper cards before. Yeah,
and although it may look like Nay doesn't have a lot to do, yeah, Seance, if you didn't know, can be cast on any minion, which means this does give Nay a play. I actually like this because this just in every world has to be better than doing nothing.
Yeah, Oxyd's seeing the amusing side of that. He's also seeing the amusing side of this lot. Double evolve available, which is so tempting because if the first one doesn't work, you just get another go.
I was honestly thinking about evolve or mutate last turn.
Yeah, exactly, but maybe he was scared he'd get a bad one and get light bombed. Well, now if it doesn't look nice, you just do it again.
Go again, yeah. One needs to be played every single time. Oh. Okay, that's pretty good actually.
Oh my goodness, light bomb that.
So now we're 2 6 2 3 4. I think I'll be okay with that.
And I haven't said this for about 2 years, but 4/4s are really good against Priest.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I said that actually. Oh, light bomb. Look how bad it is though. It removes the 4/4 and that's it, and it adds a 1/1 to the board. So it removes 3 damage.
It removes the 1/1
sorry,
and
the 1/1 on the
it,
end. Yeah, apologies, I didn't notice the totem.
It doesn't matter, it's only a totem.
So it effectively only really removes 4 damage from the board, which would leave what, 4 for? Yeah, not looking good, is it?
It's looking really grim for Nay.
Has to be done though. Like, Nay's not on board dead. And what's the other play? Psycho Pump dead? So
sure.
There's no other option here. And, Oxyd doesn't actually have...
He does.
Oh, sorry, he has the damage
because
he can post-mutate, right?
Yeah,
with the Mana Addict and double mutates means that this is going to be game. And this was a very one-sided game of Hearthstone. But... that is how this priest deck plays. Like, you often don't do anything for the first few turns, or you might remove a minion and heal a bit, but you don't do anything, and you need to stabilize from there then onwards. The real problem that Nay had in this game was that she did not draw any of the taunt minions. If she'd drawn 1 taunt minion, suddenly it soaks some damage, and then, very quickly, Psycho Pump is about 18 million times better because it resurrects a taunt minion and gives it Reborn, which is huge, of course. So a little bit unfortunate there for Nay just not getting hold of a taunt and having a very clunky hand. But again, like, that is kind of the deck.
Yeah,
that you kind of live and die by the fact that if you don't draw any taunts in the ready for turn 5 and 6, then you will lose versus aggro, especially when the style is just kicked out with that Quest Shame and when he just managed to put a lot of minions on the board early on.
On the plus side of that strategy, if you're hoping to get a reasonable card by turn 5, you're entitled to find it a lot of the time. It's not like I need this 1 drop, I need this 2 drop. If it's I need this 5 or 6 drop, you're going to get there a lot, especially as she didn't even really pick up the pains and stuff to even get there. There was not even a way to buy an extra turn anywhere in there. That just drew all of the heavy stuff. But that's the risk you take when you do play control decks in general.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like when you actually look at the priest, there's 2 forbidden words, 2 penance, 2 pains, right? So it's 6 cards. It's a lot, but the forbidden words is kind of awkward sometimes to pull off. But the rest of the deck is effectively just minions and then super late game removal. So it's kind of tough. I guess there was Mass Hysteria that would have done a decent job at clearing up a chunk of the board. So
what cards did she draw?
9 drops, I think, was
blanks,
the issue. I mean, her card from turn 1 is a bad thing as well, right? But again, this is Conquest, and there is no shield, and there's also no way to float a deck and not play it. And I think this is the list, as we go into game number 2, that Nay can prey on. Because Combo Priest terrifies me. I presume I'm losing versus Combo Priest, right?
Yeah.
That's just an assumption that I would have. This deck, because it hasn't convinced me so far, and it's kind of aggro, but kind of not, means that outside of Zephyr is having fun with, say, a Mass Dispel or a Twisted Nether, depending on board state, I think that this is the deck that Nay cannot lose to. Because if she loses to this, and Oxyd just has to win 1 out of 3 with Combo Priest, well, I'm fancying his chances, I'll put it that way.
You're in an awkward spot the second you let... I mean, with whatever you bring as an almost completely general rule, the second you have to not ban the priest or any shaman, you're struggling before you start.
And here we go, let's get into it. Game number 2. Oxyd on the bottom, currently leading 1-0. If he wins this, he'll go to 3-1 in Swiss so far, which will be pretty good start for him. Andy has Finley locked, loaded, ready to go on turn 2. Or some other options with Micromummy or Mysterious Blade. Although this Blade, I don't think there's any chance he gets played next turn because there are no minions to kill for like 5 turns, so it does no damage.
I wonder how tempted it is to just launch out the Finley next turn and just
I'd probably play Finley.
Make some stuff, get loads of dudes against
Get
Priest.
that Hunter hero power locked in.
Travel back in time.
Like Finley, 1, does more damage than the Micromummy, and 2, you could get that. I'm very interested now, though, like I said, about this deck, and I wonder how often this has come up or what the decision is from Oxyd. I feel like he has to try and make the decision on the fly. Yeah. He clearly has not got a set choice in his mind in this matchup, right? Because you can argue that Hunter hero power and Warlock are literally the 2 best.
And Paladin.
But I don't know... Well, I think in this matchup, Paladin's worse. Well, what do 1/1s do versus Taunt?
Sure.
That's the problem, right? Whereas I feel like these are pretty powerful, like maybe the 2 best.
Yeah.
I just don't know which one is the best. And I don't think Oxyd did either, but I'd be not too upset with either.
Yeah, I mean, Warlock hero power was why I always wanted Finley in every deck he was in before. But certainly other options. Have you ever seen a good Rissa? I mean, obviously it's decent, but I've never seen a good one.
Redemption. Avenge.
I've seen good Rissas. I understand how cards work. That's why I'm here. I also don't understand them well enough, which is why I'm not out there.
Yes, I think that it's not often, but it's more of a problem of the Paladin secret's that good anyway. And my question is, well, what else are you putting in the deck this early? What's a better 3-drop for Paladin right now? And sometimes, even if it's just a 3-mana 4/3, sometimes people play Spellbreaker on 4, and it silences nothing, right?
Yeah, it is a 4/3.
And like, you're playing a fairly aggressive list, and if one secret goes off well, extra, then you're pretty happy. And then now, look at this redemption.
Yeah, this is going to be.
This is
going to see the.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
The crazy stuff, I think.
Oh, that's a good pickup, though.
It was urgently required.
That was so important, because otherwise, Nay's just passing again and again and again. Killing off the Risa without being punished by those extra secrets was huge. Still though, Secret Keeper, Mysterious Blade. There's still a lot of damage, and we see Oxyd almost playing a Zeus style. Where it's like, actually, I'm not going to play hyper aggro. I'm going to life tap every turn to make sure that I always have stuff. And we've seen this recently in Grandmasters from some of the Zoo players, and it's worked pretty well.
Yeah, for Zoo, absolutely. And I mean, the speed at which he did that, I assume he knows that it works absolutely for this. It doesn't mean it works out every time. It's just absolutely known to be the correct play, maybe. Because I was looking at the potential to spam out and then start tapping, but no, he wants the extra cards all the way along. Get as much value as he possibly can. Try and hit some of the more key cards, get that damage in.
And the thing that does look better for Nay, not only the Penance being picked up, but there's a Mass Hysteria in hand, which is going to be pretty good. There's, of course, the Light Bomb, although a little bit clunky most of the time. But most importantly, there's a Kartuk Defender.
Yeah, he could do with finding Ragnaros is probably a card he's really keen on finding with this live tap. He's playing Oxyd as well, so I'm not quite sure what's missing, but...
what's missing is this the thingy? Yeah, it's Tyrion. There's no Tyrion in the stripe. So Octosari Ragnaros is the 2/8 drop. Tiamat on 7. Pharaoh's Blessing, which is a card I love, on 6, along with that Mysterious Challenger.
And the damage is coming in pretty quick now.
It is, but also the taunts are about to appear too, and I believe, I'll just double check.
And the healing and the stuff.
There's no silence in Oxyd's list, so to deal with like that one minion you need to get rid of, it pretty much is Zephyrus. Or to deal with it in a clean way at least.
Yeah, and talking about the early picks here, I don't think Hunter would have got there. Maybe it would. I mean, how many times did he live tap? Twice or 3 times? Or soul tap, sorry.
I want to say...
Anyway,
I want to say 3,
it's
but
2
2
or 3.
Yeah.
6 or 9 extra damage could have been done.
Well, so the thing that maybe pushed me to Hunter was if you tap into minions, the Kartuks can trade into the minions and heal.
Okay.
If your hero power keeps hitting them in the face with some extra damage now and again, well, you're not proccing some of these death rattles as often. So maybe that adds up. I don't know. I just know that those two were the two I would have wanted to see. In the meantime, though, Oxyd is just going to push a ton of damage.
I could be talking a lot of garbage, but Ragnaros just feels really important to force damage somewhere important in this game.
If you're not playing Tyrion as well, because, you know, Tyrion, less of a 6/6, more of a 15 swing weapon to me. So even just having that damage available, and finally a good Light Bomb.
Yeah, last game I was talking about Light Bomb not always being good, but it's still decent. Annihilating the board the best it could anyway.
And it's back. It literally is just back. Not quite as big, but still. Oh, okay. Is there any secrets even left?
I don't think there's any left.
He plays it anyway, probably. Oh, never mind.
He had full Christmas tree last turn, right? So.
Yeah. Double Snip Snap looks good, though. It's just 4 extra damage this turn and makes these minions a bit bulkier as well. I think it's probably better to stack it on 1.
He's not sure he's going to have a think about that.
Because if you think of Mass Hysteria, you don't want evenly sized minions, right?
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
This is decent for Mass Hysteria because 3/4 hits a 4/3 and your other thing lives.
So, Oxyd's not going to swing. There is a True Silver Champion in the deck, so there is another weapon he could draw where he could think, you know, I missed 3 damage, so to speak, by not swinging if he top decks exactly True Silver. But honestly, because it is one card in the whole 13 left, then I think it's fine. I guess you could argue 2 out of 13 because he could tap into it.
What
interesting.
Do the cards
I never argue stats with you, Raymond.
You're the stats guy.
Exactly.
There you go. You don't argue because you know I'm wrong, because you know you're right, so why argue? Right now, though, is it going to be the kill, right? The Plague? Yeah. So Plague of Death going to come down. Nay finally getting usage of that coin. Or not? Yeah, this is like a good Plague of Death for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Oxyd's so surprised that she had a card.
Yeah, after not playing anything all game.
It
was True Silver! I think that's what he was bothered about.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it wouldn't have been lethal this turn, but still.
Yeah.
You've got to think, like, the swings are a turn delayed in some respect. And again, I am not saying swinging last turn was always correct, but when you're this close to setting up lethal, it's something to consider. And now there's Zer's Cloning Gallery. There's Resurrect. There's Katrina, which means that there is a Kartuk Defender in the pool, right? So these are literally decisions that are going to end this game one way or the other right now, because this bit's quite hard. Pain does nothing because it doesn't remove enough damage. So it's basically which 9-drop or 8-drop that Nay plays this turn. Does clone ever get there? It'll like this is tough for us because we can't we do not 100% know off the top of our heads what's left in the deck.
When you say just clone get there,
yeah, which is very
not 100% sure what has gone. I mean, it's easy to work out most
I'll just do my mental deck tracking.
Okay.
There's Ziliax, there's Emperor, there's a Kartuk Defender, there's Elysiana, which is obviously terrible, and there's Hakar and the Zoth. So it's really just Ziliax that does anything, which is probably bad. So I think I like this. I think this is better. Because N'Zoth, 1-1.
Yeah.
Elysiana, 1-1. It does nothing. I think it really is Ziliax and Kartuk Defender. And this, again, I will remind people that every time a Kartuk Defender dies, it's one more in the pool for N'Zoth.
Yeah, I'm trying desperately to work out how you force this through in 2 turns, but you're expecting to get N'Zoth and just make it worse for yourself.
Wait. So it heals. Nay heals to 12 if this Kartuk dies.
Right, and she can do.
So Weapon Blessing of Kings just sticks out to me.
That's one short, right?
I think it's Weapon Blessing of Kings every time. Because there's Zephyrus to draw for lethal, right? Potentially.
No, I think the reason he's thinking something is if you're one off lethal, you spend forever trying to find the extra one.
Right. But I think this is too clean.
It's not actually one off. It's more than that anyway. It's several off.
I think Oxyd has. The problem is, if he leaves Katrina alive, he's going to summon another Kartuk again. So I think he has to trade off. Or he's just in the same spot. The only way it would be right to go face, I think, is if he just draws Zephyrus. And maybe he's just on that plan.
Yeah,
maybe he's like, draw
and there's still the Ragnos as well.
That's true.
So yeah, maybe he's on the plan of I've lost this game unless I get lucky now, so let's try and get lucky.
Now I think Xerix might be okay.
It's a lot of health to put back on the board.
Oh, wait.
But
10 mana? No, you just seance the Katrina, right? Replay. Summon 2 Kartuks.
She's scared of the direct damage loss, so she's trying to work out if she can heal.
But it's literally Zephyrus or a rag of 1 in 5, right?
But, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that Nay needs to spend time to process if there's a way she can get out of the range of any of those, and she is going to go with the Xerix.
Won't cut it.
She couldn't get to a good number, so...
I think guaranteeing 2 Kartuks was insane.
I think you're right, and I think she's just realised...
And like I said, I didn't even name all the minions because I literally glanced at the deck list, but there were so many minions that are just flat 1/1s.
No, I think you're right.
This is a problem in Oxyd, looking pretty happy. I don't blame him. Like, this is a pretty weak turn. Because if he gets through with just the weapon, he wins. Oh, I guess he's... Oh, yeah, because she can't heal. Oof.
Okay.
The res? It was... Oh, that was dicey as well. She had to do it.
Yeah.
For the res to hit the Kartuk, but because she killed it, it could have resed the Psychopomp.
So she could have...
Oh!
Yeah, I think she
had to.
What she did well there was halfway through the turn realise that, oops, and then...
Recover,
work out how do I make the most of this. That's gone. It's done. I'll spend my 10 seconds getting my brain back into gear. Now I'm going to just,
so wait.
react afterwards when you made the right play.
So 4, 3, 6, goes up to 9. Oh, it still doesn't get there, does it? Oxyd, be a champ. Just play the Ragnaros and hit end turn. That was so sick. And these Kartuk defenders are insane.
Yeah, they really are nutty.
You just can't win if you're a minion-based deck. You cannot win. It's filthy. But the point
here is that...
Wait.
Yeah. And
we just heard a no. As I believe that was Oxyd. I was looking at the turn and thinking, wait, did he forget what that minion did?
Yeah, if you're wondering why we both stopped there, we were just checking that all was well because there's a scream from the players. It's like a second delay.
Yeah,
so we knew something bad had happened. Yeah. Anyway, if we go back to the game of Hearthstone that we're supposed to be casting.
What do the cards say?
So now they start to get tricky turns. Because I wonder if it's ever worth seancing the N'Zoth now. You can't play it, but it's for next turn. And then the second Nay gets 1 or 2 card it's like
What must
it's just
I
game,
do?
right? Because Oxyd will never get through unless Nate doesn't heal enough in time for, say, again, for some kind of Zephyrus out, whether that be Fireball, Pyroblast, whatever.
In a minute, her whole hand's going to cost 0 anyway. Just play that off.
Oh, yeah, I mean, look.
Oh, there we go. That's the end of that.
It's insane. It's insane. So now, what does he even need?
Rag to the
Nothing.
face. And
that's it. He needs to rag.
Rag.
That's it.
1 in 8 chance of just rag to the face. Watch Nay's reaction when he plays it. Just
Whirlwind Slam.
You just assume that you're going to lose.
I'm annoyed he used the 2 mana. Oxyd is a very verbal player, as we can hear a lot.
Yeah, I think I just heard whatever.
And don't get me wrong, he's talking to himself. He's not communicating with anyone, as you can see.
Okay, here comes the shot. It shoots, it misses, and it's going to be 1 game each, most likely, unless we've missed something absolutely insane.
I mean, there's tons of stuff that can happen now. I mean, Nay just pushes herself way out of lethal range. She can over-trade these, like, 2 card tuts in.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is very funny. I don't know if you can hear this, but we can, and it's great. Oxyd is speaking in something I definitely can't understand, but he doesn't sound happy. I'm going to whisper in case, but he definitely can't hear me. He has sound cancelling headphones on, so it's fine. Maybe the death there. Hidden Wisdom, I don't really think. I wonder if she should have traded 1 in just to make sure. But that's going to be game.
I think so.
I mean, just if you really want to push it into safety, trade a card and heal for 3, whatever, just to make sure. But that is going to be Nay fighting back. And I said before, if she took a loss to that Paladin, she should be terrified because just having to 3-0 a Priest is tough. Whereas now, it's a little bit more even. The Priest for Nay is out the way, and she has her Shaman and Paladin left to go up against the Priest and Paladin of Oxyd. And honestly, he seems a little bit shaken by that because there was definitely a lot of, I don't know, talking to himself there where he was not happy with the way that outcome happened, or at least not so much the rag, but more just the previous few turns and the way he approached them. I think he'll be a little bit upset with that one. But we are going to go to a break while we set up the next game. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more Masters Tour Bucharest. We are back in round number 4 of the day here at Masters Tour Bucharest, and we are in our match, and it's currently 1-1 as Nay managed to take a win with the Priest, but it was very, very close. And without actually rewatching the game, I'm not 100% sure what the sequence was that was correct from Oxyd in that weird turn where he just traded into the Carter. But I believe what he did was not correct, and we heard that from him. But we'll see how it plays out for the rest of the series. But I think not losing to that Paladin, as I mentioned before the break, is going to be key.
Yeah, Oxyd getting very excitable there. He's been excited on Twitter, but in all the good ways, like posting the commemorative coin that all the players get and all that sort of good stuff.
Nothing wrong with being passionate.
And yeah, he's getting excitable there.
Yep, and
it was just weird because they're sat pretty near to us, and I'm not used to be able to hear the players.
Yeah. I remember one time where we thought, I think it was, who was it? It might have been Frozen, but at an old event a while ago, we thought Frozen was talking to someone while he was playing, and then we checked, and he was just saying things to himself. It was
PNC's.
Yeah, he was just literally talking to himself, but it sounded like a full conversation. It's very strange. But anyway, let's get back into this matchup here. We do have two players with two similar looking lineups class-wise, but definitely not archetype-wise, as Nay has the Holy Wrath Paladin and her Shaman versus the Highlander Secret Paladin for Oxyd and his combo Priest, whereas Nay just took a win with her Resurrect Priest. So a really big mixed bag, and it's what I'm excited about, and what I was excited about going into this tournament is just seeing the lineups, because once you get this many players together, not everyone's bringing the same stuff.
It is one of the most exciting things of any day one, is the reveal at like 1 minute after registration closes is like, what's happening? And of course, when you're casting it, you don't necessarily get a chance to go through all the lineups.
Every list.
You're looking at the ones you're looking at, but it'll be interesting to see at the end of the day what's doing well in the 4-1-5-0 categories, and what's actually the right meta. Because this meta is still really new. Okay, some of the decks are kind of holdovers from the previous meta, but they're all different to what they were.
I still think before the extra cards got added in, I still think there was legs to that game. Like, I think there was still a lot to learn and a lot of other decks to come in. But let's move on now as we go into game number 3. Nay on the top on this Shaman, and Oxyd on the ever-feared combo Priest. And this is one of the rough matchups, at least in my opinion. I remember initially playing this matchup a lot when it first sort of became popular. I was literally like, I don't know how I'm supposed to win. I just lose this matchup. But now, with the hairs and evolve, maybe it gets a little bit better, but I don't think by much.
Yeah, you still need to hit a good evolve, and you've still got to draw the things you just said as well, the hairs, the evolves.
The hardest part, somehow, you've got to make your opponent not draw Cleric, Tolve, Blade Master.
I think we've casted this deck about 5 times today, and they seem to have had it every single time, just like on ladder. Oh, okay, there's another one.
These early turns are actually super interesting, because now I wouldn't even mind the topsy-turvy on the totem, just to get rid. Just going to trade it off, okay. I mean, I guess the 2 damage doesn't really matter that much. Topsy can get a bit more value later on. No heal coming down, though, in favor of Oxyd, going for the extra Tolve. Could have been a hero power to go on and draw 1 extra card, but I think with 2 Tolves down, something ludicrous and magical would have to happen for there not to be a heal target next turn.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. You look at this, and already you can see just the pure amount of numbers on the side of the board of Toxyd. It doesn't matter exactly what's going on. You can just see how far in front he is already. But it's going to get a lot worse, a lot quicker if Nay doesn't start dealing with something. But how?
It's a tough call. Well, one can be killed with this and the Elemental, of course. This does set up technically a trade as well onto the Tolve if it doesn't get healed.
But
guess what? It's getting healed.
Guess what? Drawing cards and making your minions big is really good. Oh!
I wonder if he waits. I feel like double trade circle's really good, but I think Oxyd, if he really thinks about it, double trade pass actually will just still almost certainly guarantee a heal with Blade Master next turn in circle. Okay. Never mind getting more stuff on the board. I just don't know how much needed the Pyro was. I guess it can just be traded into any minion that Nay plays next turn. So it's more of a blank 3-2 as opposed to a Pyromancer.
Yeah, the question is how much does the 2 mana cost? Because you're not playing that Pyromancer in the whole game if you don't play on that turn. Because you've got another one.
That's probably true. Sludge Slurper coming down. with the Titanic Lackey to gain some health, but health isn't really what Nay's after. Nay was really looking for another Kobold, even a Rush Lackey would have been fine, the Goblin, anything, even Ethereal, because again, Hex, any AoE, a Scheme, an Earthquake can do something in this matchup sometimes.
I mean, as you've described, you've got to play to get lucky. You don't get lucky unless you're sort of throwing things out there trying to get lucky. It's not the usual Hearthstone way, despite many, many, many memes on the subject, but sometimes you've got to
just go.
Just see what you can get.
And now Nay can coin out the Kobold and kill either of the 2 health minions, and I actually would rate the Tolvir as a higher threat, even though the Pyromancer on surface just wipes Nay's board if there's a circle or any spell. But I think the Taunt's more of a threat than anything else.
Again, she's not sure because she's done well to pick right there, because the fact he played the Pyromancer is weird and suspicious, because we weren't that excited about just getting the extra minion down the stats of the board. And she's got to divine that from the other side of the board, that there's not something even more weird and suspicious going on.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Pyro or no Pyro, this is a fantastic turn. Gonna put the hero power in as well, so not really planning on playing anything else this turn. Oxyd choosing to go with the hero power first to get that extra heal on. Don't mind it at all, but I also think that it was actually a waste, right? Because hero power means he can do nothing but circle. If he circles first, the Blade Master gets damaged. So you can at worst hero power the Blade Master. Whereas Nephicet, in some worlds, depending on how you're feeling, might have been a just better play there. He would play into MCT, so there are that. But I just think that that heal always can happen no matter what. So just a small thing, but I think he could have just circled first there.
Yeah, he's playing reasonably quickly, even though he's getting to the rope quite a lot. He seems to be just doing a lot of things in turns and making sure he's got the time to do them.
Evolve, question mark. Evolve's such a cool card because there are so many varying degrees of when and how you should play it. I probably evolve way too often. I'm just like, I've got a board and I don't have hair in hand. Evolve. Honestly, that's generally how I play. And I know some players really want to hold on for Evolve being like the sickest Evolve in the world. I definitely think the middle ground is correct somewhere there.
I think you've got to be really open, and it's easier said than done to assessing each situation of what it is, because there's such subtle differences between when to do it and when not. That the general rules, I guess I'm generally greedy, but you've got to change that sometimes.
Suddenly now, this isn't lethal, right? So he'll go to 7. I hate counting this when Pyro's on board.
I know, everything just...
Divine Spirit will go to 14, 13. Yeah, it's not lethal yet, but it's basically a setup for lethal next turn, I think. And Nay...
and he can draw a lot of cards. This could still be a lethal.
Yeah, cards normally equal lethal in Priest. I think mainly because the Topsy-Turvy exists. Obviously, there wouldn't be enough mana to double Divine Spirit. There's double in a fire. So maybe...
That's a lot of damage.
Maybe one in it, maybe... Oh, trade, and then extra arms in a fire?
Just play something in...
I like extra arms in a fire.
Face.
That's a threat, and you still have Divine Spirit.
Yeah.
You've still got in a fire. There's still Topsy. There's still another extra arms. There's still most of your deck that you're going to draw next turn, probably. So I like this overall. And Nay, in a roundabout way, took a lot of damage and from that Pyro, even though I still do agree that I think killing the Tolvir was right at the time.
No, I agree too. But Oxyd made it happen. It's like, first of all, she could have killed the Pyro, which may not have been the right play, but secondly, he just got it out there and gave himself some more options, and look where he is now 3 turns later.
Yeah, and even if we could rewind time, Nay kills the Pyro, well, then the Tolvir gets circled with the Blade Master, and there's 2 massive health minions on board. And I don't think Nay could have killed them either, so it's kind of just a problem no matter what.
The extra Pyro, which he's never had chance to play. So how would the first one have been played? If it just was something to throw out there. It actually made a space in his hand as well as all the damage it's done.
And now with heal, Topsy, Divine Spirit in a fire, this game is... Oh, there's many ways, but basically, this game's over, Lorinda.
This game is indeed as long as... He spends 7 mana attacking his opponent somehow.
Yeah, it's over in hand, right? Like, there are tons of ways he can do this. It doesn't matter. He can do this Topsy and then just Divine Spirit in a fire.
Yeah.
Done. Like, there are many, many ways he could go about this. This is fine. But as long as he did lock it in, and that means he's going to get a win with his combo priest over Nay's Quest Shaman. And again, honestly, a result that is not too surprising. It's normally how the matchup gets played out. And I'll just reiterate, as you know, maybe people have forgotten how Conquest works sometimes, but you can take losses to two of your opponent's decks if their last deck is the one that you are so favored to beat, right? And that just comes back to my point a little bit earlier on, where I feel like the Secret Paladin, the Highlander Secret Paladin, is the deck for Nay to beat.
Yep, and you said it, and so far she's beaten it once, she's got to beat it twice more. So you're exactly, whether she wins or loses, you were right, Raven.
I do like being right sometimes. It's pretty cool. And this is just the difference where I like everything about Oxyd's lineup except the Paladin. And this may be my ignorance. The Paladin may be the best deck in the world, for all I know. I have not played it enough. But I feel like with the depth of decks that is available for people to play, it could have been almost anything else, and I would have liked it more, honestly.
I'm on your side on this, but let's go the other way for a minute. So you've got a tournament here with 287 of the best players in the world.
Right.
That's a hard tournament to win.
I can agree with that.
Bring a deck that, when it does its thing, is really good.
Bring Rogue, then. You just kill someone.
I mean, sure, but Paladin's in that category of it's not consistent.
Sure.
But do you want to be consistent and go 5 wins, 4 losses and not make the top 8? Or do you want to go, okay, I'm probably not as good as Hunter Ace, whoever I am, unless I'm Hunter Ace. Let's bring something that, hey, deal with this, Sunshine. 1, 2, 3, 4 face.
Yeah,
Draw 5 secrets.
I never mind thinking outside the box to try and get some kind of edge in just the fact that people haven't practiced against this that much. But we'll see if the deck's good enough. And honestly, if you can draw like Oxyd, and you just have Finley every game, you've got Risa every game, there's Secrets every game, including with Secret Keeper, then you know what? Best deck in the game. You got me.
I know Viper used to talk about there's no point being consistent and going 5-4, 6-3 every tournament.
Right.
He was very much an advocate of I'm going to take a risk, and sometimes I'll just crash and burn and I'll look silly, and sometimes I'll make the top 16 and you'll look silly.
Sometimes you just win the tournament.
Yeah, right? And you'd rather do that than just keep coming 39th place and out of 200, which is fantastic. Wish I could come 39th place out of 280, but it's not enough to get you anywhere.
Right.
Anyway, round over, game's on.
Could be the last game if Oxyd can get a win with this deck, and I feel like this is the test. The rest of his lineup, look at it: Combo Priest, Quest Shaman, and Mali Druid. 3 pretty solid, proven decks. This one is the one, the wild card, so to speak.
We haven't seen a straight-up weird deck yet, have we, today? There's usually something by now has turned up and everyone's going,
like,
what is
really
this?
Out of there.
Yeah.
Zananan's APM Druid.
But he's been playing that solidly since Bees was printed.
Still weird.
Yeah, that's fair. But he does love that deck.
Yeah, he does. But this hero power going to have the improved rogue hero power, so weapon on demand for Oxyd. Definitely a good choice. I think like Ping could have been better, although you can argue about health totals and mana usage on that one. But having a weapon that kills a lot of these Shaman minions is actually pretty sick. And there's now the mech setup too.
Yeah, this is where he's drawn not spectacularly, but nicely.
Oh really? I think it's a great draw.
I mean, it's a good draw. I want this draw, but it's not ridiculous.
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's his top half.
I see it happening.
Top quarter.
We're going to roll to exactly turn 6.
Yeah.
There'll have been no secrets drawn. Mysterious Challenger will be drawn. And then I'll be like, told you drew well.
None of your business.
It's going to happen. But here on the other side, Nay, going forward with this Elic actually doing a really good job here in being able just a good size and shape to deal with these early minions. But the follow-up, which would Piper's okay. It does draw a minion, but Elemental not going to do too much. Shudderwock obviously dead for most of the game right now. And Evolve, even though Evolve in itself is fantastic, without a hair in this matchup, it's not going to do anything.
Okay, you've convinced me. Oxyd's hand's good. When you've explained sort of why Nay isn't good, and she's got the same sort of curve available.
Right, just like...
It's just not happened.
Yeah, it's just better,
This is how it could have been.
And at any moment now, because of Finley, Oxyd can dagger and get 2-turn value. Which
it's
is
making
insane.
so much difference.
Oh, nice. I like this guy.
I was going to say, this is a very Raven
trade,
play.
or I could just bless Sniff Kings, get him in the face.
That was just so much you.
Okay, well, there is a plan now with Sludge Slurper and Wasp being picked up. That's the best one as well to help chip some extra damage.
This plan of yours needs to activate quickly.
It normally does. What was that quest on then? 1, 2... Is it
3
out
would
of
be
5?
my
Okay.
very ill-educated
I'm
guess
now wondering
for someone
whether-
who's watched the game.
Yeah, I think this is just... You can't wait for Hero Power Wasp with the buff Hero Power, of course. I think this is just Lackey Wasp. They don't play equality. Let's go.
5 out of 6. Just in case you can't see the screen from
Okay.
where you're sat.
Now that is quest done. It has some level of impact, actually, because even Hero Power Elemental's pretty strong, especially if there's a 3-3 traded in here. So now this is just a 6-1 for Oxyd. There is a way to buff it, though, with Ziliax.
Yeah, suddenly both players can take care of each other's boards, not perfectly, but quite well.
It's doable, right?
And if that continued for any length of time, obviously the Shaman power would start to take over the game.
Yeah.
It's not anywhere near that stage yet, but it's getting there.
I'm not sure what I think about this turn. Because you're literally dead, like your minion's dead on board. The heal does nothing because you're at 30. And Nay has cards. So you know, like, Oxyd knows going into this turn he's going to be behind. Maybe he's okay with it because he has Zephyrus, but I don't know whether that was needed to be exactly Ziliax and just push face.
It looked so obvious. I wonder if you just threw it out there. Like, your very first glance is see Ziliax, 5 mana, kills a thing, what can go wrong? But the more you talk about that...
Yeah, well, he didn't kill a thing. He just did random damage to face, right? So I wonder whether Ziliax separately could have ever been better. Obviously, we could see the Elemental, which meant that the Elemental kills off the other mech anyway.
And he didn't seem to pay enough time to work out what Zephyrus could have done. I'm not saying it could have done anything. I'm just saying he didn't seem to process options there where there certainly would have been some.
There would have been some, because it would have probably offered multi-shot, right?
Yeah.
Which isn't half bad on this board.
Especially with the last stuff on the board still.
And like, why? Okay, I'm getting a bit confused now. Because to me, the dagger doesn't do much, whereas Avenge, Mekaru, Risa would have been sick, right? Whatever dies, Avenge goes off and causes a problem. Mekaru's got Death Rattle as well. Maybe that was just worth doing a sticky board. And now, what does he want for 2 mana?
He wants Zephyrus to give him a good card.
Betrayal? Hungry Crab is fine, but I cannot, for the life of me, believe this was the plan. Because now the dagger does nothing. He made this turn up as he went along, Lorinda.
I mean,
who does he think he is?
I was
Me?
watching him make it up as he go along, listening to you make it up as you went along. I'm trying to have my own thought.
No, you're not allowed those.
It wouldn't happen. There was no thought there.
Yeah, that was very haphazard, wasn't it? Or at least that's how it felt watching it.
It actually felt like he's like, I don't know the way out. Let's see if Zephyrus has got an answer that I haven't thought of, which isn't a stupid idea because Zephyrus is pretty good. For all the memes about Zephyrus getting the wrong card, if you think you need a card right now, I'd still have rather gone for a 4 mana card than a 2, even if I was just guessing because there's more to work with.
Yeah. And this, I think this has to be a double trade, even though it feels bad. Nay's not far away from Shudderwock, so I think priority 1, get to Shudderwock somehow. And that, unfortunately, I think involves trading 2-3 attack minions into a full health. Zap, fantastic pickup though. Definitely correct for her to play the Ethereal Lackey first, because with the Zap now, it's only 1-3-3, so that is huge.
Yeah, she's getting so close to just being able to
Ancestral Healing as well.
dominate the board.
I like healing.
Yeah, I think if she can heal, actually, not ancestral, but healing of any sort to face in the next 2 or 3 turns, she's going to be safe.
Yeah, for me, I think it was just important, especially with Oxyd. That's not lethal, is it?
It's not, but I had to shut you up and start
with
counting.
Oxyd having a dagger available, I think just Ancestral Healing on any minion is just like taunt it up. You know, stop this, because I think with the way Oxyd played, Oxyd for 2 turns just buffed and slammed face regardless of what was going on. And I think that's very clear that Oxyd wants to just end the game, play aggro. So I think Ancestral Healing was better than Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt now obviously looks pretty good there.
He had a poll in his Twitter actually about either what should I play or what would you play. My languaging isn't quite good enough. But aggro won over 4 options.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, by a margin.
It was aggro. Aggro or aggro.
Yeah, it was like aggro.
Or warrior.
Yeah. aggroed way in that part.
Lightning Bolt going to come in clutch here, killing off the Risa. We can see, though, this is just a matter of time if Nay cannot heal or taunt, and there's been no life drinkers played this game, which means Shudderwock does not bail her out on the turn that Shudderwock is played. So again, I think Ethereal Lack is priority. Healing in any way, shape or form is priority. And yeah, I don't know about this. It's great having a board, but if you're dead, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so but if you made the decision that you're going to be dead because I can't find a way out, then making a board so you can survive next turns.
2 goes at spells to heal is pretty sick. Oh, the rag attack.
Going wide plays around this.
I guess. Healing plays around, not
and
down
that
to 8
card's
damage
been
as
in
well.
his hand for a while. I think maybe she played around that on purpose.
Okay, we'll see. Mogu, not a bad pickup at all, especially with Evolve. No trades on the board, though. But I think this is just... We can see, of course, that Leroy's in hand, so we have, like, tainted knowledge of this game. But Ethereal Lucky to heal, you just win. Paladin can knock toe-to-toe with Quest Shaman. I like Ancestral Healing again. Or, I guess, Farsight. See, now I'm convinced that maybe Wind Fury. It's a roller coaster of emotions right now.
Farsight
Wind Fury
might...
does...
Okay, sure.
6? Wait. That's 10? I can't see the minions. There's definitely not 7 outside of the 3/3 on the board, right?
No, but she's got Evolve in hand. It depends how close you are and how much you think you've got a chance of getting a charge. There aren't many these days.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14 damage. Out of nowhere.
So, everything hits face. Evolve.
I think you have to cash in this first. You have to win Fury first, right?
Yeah, okay. Sure.
The trades. And this is going to mean that Oxyd's going to be 1 damage off lethal next turn. Witch's Brew! Lava Burst!
Woo!
Stuff!
I don't know what happened.
Spells!
Nay doesn't know what happened.
things.
Oxyd definitely doesn't know what happened.
Nay's as confused as we are.
Who am I? None of your business.
And now that's just... Oh, I think the healing was always the pick. Because Shaman outlasts Paladin in every world.
I think she may have had it auto-chosen for her, or she may have just hit a button because...
I think she picked the Lava Burst. I think the second one she missed.
The second one, yeah, okay.
I think the Haunting Vision she missed.
I think she was just trying to press 2 buttons with very, very little time to fail. Because the second she even... It hadn't even passed over the turn by the time she was looking a little bit sad about it. I think she just ran out of time.
I think she picked Lava Burst. We'll see.
I thought I saw a choice, but... Maybe she had a millisecond and saw a card that wasn't terrible, so you just pick it. I don't think she had time to process 3. She just saw, oh, Lava Burst, that might win me game, bosh. And it might.
So Noble Sack means that there's 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. There's only 13 available.
Is this Lava Burst just the nuts?
We'll see. I think Evolve's going to be good no matter what. Maybe even Haunting Visions first. Is there ever a reason not to? Unless Nay's planning on playing MCT into Evolve. What? Okay. That's going to be the game. I am confused on many levels. I think Nay definitely had a different game plan to what I was thinking about. But if she would have just held off a little bit, you know, she was definitely also setting up for lethal. But congratulations to Oxyd, as he was setting up for lethal from, I think, turn 1 at that point in that game.
Turn
it was very
game
much like,
1.
so minion, can you go face? Yes, go face. And I'd like that plan overall. I still think there were definitely some questionable turns there. I think winding back to that Ziliax was just attach Ziliax, heal for nothing, hit for some damage, but then it's already dead on board, and you don't really want to go behind against Quest Shaman. Very scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he just about got there. All the way back, though, to Finley getting the dagger, which for me was the tipping point of suggesting that Nay should have gone for a more defensive, any way to heal, any way to ancestral heal and taunt up the minion, so the dagger can't just poke face every single turn because there were no life drinkers in the pool.
Especially you're stuck with Shudderwock in your hand. What's your win condition here? Well, I'm stuck with Shudderwock in my hand. Let's get it played. But she did draw no healing, so that doesn't help.
There were chances, though. There were chances.
The Witch's Brew would have been very interesting.
There was the Witch's Brew, and there was the also there was the, I forgot the name of the card now.
The other one.
The 3-mana Shaman spell thing. What is it called? I've just completely gone blank on it. But anyway, there were options. There was even Ancestral Healing to put taunts in the way to delay some of the damage. And I think, again, it's easy for us to say we could see the Leroy, we could see the Ragnaros, but everyone could see the buff go face, face with dagger, face with dagger. I felt like it seemed like it was very straightforward what Oxyd's plan was from the start.
Yeah, especially as he's starting to run out of cards, it's a reasonably not easy plan to counter, but easy plan to have your own plan against at least.
And also as well for me, like the deck late game, once outside of Ragnaros into Octosari or whatever, means that you can only do one thing. But it looks like we have an update on the stand-ins after round 4. I think round 4 is still going on, but anyway.
I've heard of this guy on the right.
I've heard of this guy on the left. We're taking preferences now, but Chonsu, the best player or best performing player in Asia Pacific in Grandmaster Season 2. He did so well, especially compared to the field. It was insane. He's currently at 4-0. Hunter Ace, guy you also may have heard of at 4-0 as well. But then we see some of the other players. For me, ETC, Zeno, Yogg, these players stick out.
Kin, Pincher,
true, yeah.
Looking to get some LATAM back into GM.
Also, Hawkeye.
Kin must have been close to being GM anyway. He's constant good results.
Yeah, Hawkeye has been kind of in and out the game for a couple of years, but he was playing originally. He was a big name super early on, one of the Greek players, along with like Deathalor and a few of the others, and he's back as well. So I'm kind of excited to see this top cut play out as we move on.
I think there's more to come. I think that this round's probably got a good few games left.
Yeah, this round is not over.
There should be more than 12 4-0s, I feel. So it's shaping out well. I don't know what the next game is, but let's see if they're on Orange Watch or not. Yeah,
it really is. I'm excited for Chonsu and Hunter Ace going 4-0 so far, but there's plenty more Hearthstone coming up. Me and Lorinda are done, but Sottle and Mr. Derek Brown are going to take over. So we'll be right back with some more Hearthstone.